Musa acuminata, or Musa bulbiciana, the banana plant. I'm sure you've never even considered the fact that a banana plant has got a botanical name, but it does, and it's either one of two. And so today, this lovely little lady is what we're going to be talking about. So I'm doing a three-part series, the first of which we will talk about banana morphology, so what it looks like, what you're actually dealing with, understanding the banana plant. And I say plant, not tree, because a banana is exactly that. It is a herbaceous perennial plant. It is not a tree, it is not a palm tree, it is a plant. It's just a very big plant. So I've got one behind me, and I'm going to run you through the basic morphology or the botany of a banana plant so that you can better understand what bananas are actually about and how to look at them with new eyes. And then also the second episode will be how to get these guys to grow and for you to harvest tons of this stuff. And then the third one, never speak with your mouth full, rule number 1. In the third one, what I want to do is actually, I've got a really nice recipe for a smoothie. So I'm going to show you how to make a banana and granadilla smoothie, especially if you are on the slimmer side like me and you want to pick up weight, then this is the episode for you. But that will come. Right now, we're here to talk about the banana's morphology. So, where are bananas from? Bananas come from Southeast Asia. That's essentially all of the islands around Southeast Asia. It's from Oceania, that's where they originate, and also the east coast of Africa. So you get two different kinds, generally speaking. You get cooking bananas, and then you get dessert bananas. So the cooking bananas are generally called plantains. This is the name for the cooking banana. It's generally thicker skinned. It's got a thicker peel. It is green when it's ripe, and it is used in foods for cooking. So it's eaten moreover as a vegetable rather than as a fruit. Now the opposite to that is, of course, this guy here, which is a very thin-skinned, bright yellow banana that we all know and love, that we buy in shops. Now this particular one is called the ladyfinger banana, or lady's finger banana. There are a good couple of 100 different cultivars of banana, and it can be very cumbersome to distinguish one cultivar from another, and this has been coming on since the, I believe, 16 or 1700s, where people have been trying to class bananas into different categories, even though originally all bananas come from only 2 different varieties. All sort of market related bananas come from 2 different varieties. The one is Musa bulbiciana, which is generally your cooking banana, and then you have Musa acuminata, which is your edible banana. Well, edible in that it is a raw fruit and eaten like this. So let's take a look at some of the banana plants, and we will take an in-depth look at. I've got some bananas that are currently in flower. I've harvested some. And then we've got a banana that needs to be cut down, and I'll show you all about the morphology and what that's like on the inside. Okay, let's do this. Right, so here we've got a a mother which is finished flowering. I'm so sorry about this, but yeah. Okay, I've got a mother that's finished flowering. So up here you can see I've actually lopped off the peduncle, which is basically the entire inflorescence with all the bananas hanging on it. Okay, so that right there is the true stem of the banana. What you're looking at here is not a trunk. These are actually leaves, and the banana actually lives in the ground, and so these are the leaves that are coming up now from the plant. But in this case, this one is already finished. She's already done flowering. So behind me right here, this in banana cultivation would be called the follower, because she follows the mother, which is already flowered. So once the mother has flowered, this here we're going to take off. We're going to cut this off today, and I'm going to show you what this looks like through a cross section. The follower will be the next one to bloom. So the follower is still in full leaf, it's still in full production, and then thereafter you'll have maiden suckers or maiden pups, and these here are the maiden suckers. Now there's a difference between maiden suckers from one to another, or suckers that if you want to produce banana palms and you want to cultivate them for your garden to get really good fruit quality, there are two things you need to keep in mind. So you will get either a water sucker or a sword sucker, and the same plant, this plant, will produce both of those suckers. So you've got to make sure that you know which one is which, and this is what I'm showing you today. So right here, if we just come around this side, if you look at this leaf here, right, this leaf here is very narrow and it's very long, right? And that is called a sword sucker because of the shape of the leaf. It's very sword-like. Same with this leaf here, very long and very narrow. Okay, and back there as well, you can also see it's very long and very narrow. Okay, now let's take a look at a water sucker. So here we've got some water suckers. Now the immediate difference on this is, you can see from end to end, this leaf is extremely broad. Okay, it's not as long as it is wide, and this is a sucker with a very small rhizome, and will not form really good quality fruit, as you will find with the sword suckers. The sword sucker is it's got a very strong root system. It will develop quite a lot to the same quality fruit as the mother plant. So when you're making your distinction on which plant you want to you know, what quality of fruit you want to get, and you've got some bananas, or your friend has got some bananas, or you know, check that what you're getting is actually a sword sucker and not a water sucker. Look, ultimately you're still going to get bananas, so it's not to say you're not going to get bananas. You'll get bananas, you just won't get bananas to the same quality as what you previously had if you take the water sucker. So you need to get the sword sucker in order to actually do that. Now again, with the banana, like I said, it is a herbaceous perennial. So in warmer climates, the plant will persist throughout the year. It will flower year round, right? And then it's got a stem, but this is not the stem. The stem's actually on the inside of this thing. So this here is literally just layers and layers and layers of leaves that have risen out from the ground and is producing the pseudo stem, which means it is a fake stem. It's not the real stem, it is a fake stem. And on the inside, on the core of the stem, which is what we'll do now, is I'm going to cut down the one that has already flowered, the pseudo stem that's already flowered. We can cut that down and we can actually do a cross section of that and see if we can find the true stem sleeping or laying on the inside of the pseudo stem. So let's go take a look and see if we can cut that one down. Okay, right, so there you can actually see the inside of this banana palm, and you can see that it's actually got that is basically called the floral leaves. So it's not really a flower, it just is shaped like a flower. So it's got all these overlapping layers of leaves with lots of air pockets and water pockets, which actually gives the banana its strength. And then in the core, the center part here, which is actually becoming very sticky on my hands, this is where the true stem is. So the true stem lies in this middle section right here, and then the outer stem here is the pseudostem. So the flower, essentially the true stem, is born on the flower is born on the true stem. And so this section here will actually grow up after all of the leaves have been developed and they've all come out and they're all photosynthesizing. These layers will lead up to the actual leaves, and then the central part, once the banana matures, will actually produce flower. So this here again is called the true stem. The outer section, those are all part of the pseudostem. And so the reason why we cut this off is because the plant has now already flowered, and so you don't want it to persist and just take up more energy. You want this out of the way. You want the plant to be able to produce food for itself and to actually be healthy, to maintain its health, and so you have to cut this off. Essentially, I'd like to cut this off lower, which I will do later, because this is actually still it's quite high from the ground. So I want to cut it off at least maybe 10 centimeters or so above the ground, which is like what, 5 inches thereabout above the ground. That's what I want to do. So for now, this is just to show you what it looks like. Let's take a look on the longitudinal cross section of the parent already flowered pseudostem that we just cut off. Let's go do that. Right, okay, so after some extensive work, as you've just seen, we've cut down the pseudostem, and I have taken a longitudinal section. So I've cut the entire length of the banana plant to expose the true stem, which sits at the very core of the pseudostem of the banana. So basically what you and me know as the trunk in the background, right, which is actually a pseudostem. And inside the pseudostem is where you find the true stem. That is the true stem of the banana plant. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So there you can see all the way down the center of this banana, right, which looks incredible, looks like a room down in there. We've removed the stem, the true stem. And ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the sand, but that there is the true stem of a banana plant. So here you will find no more leaves. You won't see any of that sort of overlapping nature as what you see along here with all the leaves, because this part actually fits inside there, and this is when the flower's on its way. So once all these leaves have been developed and the plant has had adequate opportunity to produce photosynthesis and get all of its leaves out from the rhizome into the air, this white piece which I'm holding, which bears the flower at the very end of it, will actually grow all the way up the length of the banana palm pseudostem, or let's call it trunk right now, even though we keep in mind that it isn't really a true trunk. And then it will emerge from the top. And if I just show you, that there is where you will find the big purple bloom containing first the female and then the male parts of the plant, which then bears your bananas. Okay, so I just thought that this might be very interesting. You can see that the plant actually gets a lot of its strength from this, because it's a lot tougher, it's a lot stronger than a lot of these overlapping leaves. So this definitely does act as a support, but the true stem also really adds quite a bit of support. The plant can handle up to 50 kilograms of weight when in full flower or mature. Okay, great. Here is just another cross section of the banana's true stem, and you can see that it does not contain any of those leaves that we talked about. Let's see if I can bring that into the shade. It doesn't contain any of those layers of leaves. Right, that is pure and absolute stem. Okay. What's important to remember about this dying pseudostem is, and even including the actual true stem on the inside, this was just for the purposes of showing you about the morphology, but the truth about it is you can use this as compost in your garden. So literally all I'm going to do is, it's very soft, and I'm going to just cut through it, and these bits will form compost in this garden. And so you just want to like chop it up. Obviously the smaller the better. And then basically once all of this stuff has been perfectly chopped up, or just, you know, you spread it out underneath. And you don't need to use it only for bananas, you can use it under any plant. And every season when you've got new bananas that have finished flowering, you can use a lot of this. And there you can also see the pseudostem is already missing in that, and that's because the pseudostem is there, which we'll also just chop up. And if you're using sharp tools, obviously just watch that you don't amputate yourself, because that would suck. Okay, right. And then I'll just finish that up. Now, let's wrap this all up. This is the fruiting banana, which is this one here. Okay? This one is a plantain banana. And one of the, aside from, I'll put some information in the description, but aside from the coloration of the pseudostem, right? One of the other key features of a plantain is the almost absence of the petiole. Now, with respect to the morphology, and so you can understand what the petiole is versus the precursory appendage and yada yada yada, let's actually just look at a fully flowering banana palm and give you a list of names of what the different parts are and what they're called. Okay, but this here is a plantain. So it will be different in flower, and you can see the structure. The leaves are a lot more tight, closer together. This is not your regular banana. Okay, let's go. We've got a banana. The true stem is coming out. Okay. The true stem then forms the female part of the actual banana, which produces the fruit. You've got the extension, which is called the rachis. The rachis then continues growing down, down, down until eventually, which I've already cut off for the purposes of fruit production, I've cut off the purple shaped heart. Now, with every banana, it's not going to be purple. It might be slightly different colorations, and that could be as a result of different cultivars of bananas. So, like I said, the bottom part, which is the banana heart, is actually the male part of the plant. So what the plant does is, when the true stem or the fruit first come out the top of the plant, it is actually female. And as it progresses and it makes all these fruit, it changes to male, where eventually it will stop producing fruit. And the flower will just continue to peel back and create more flowers with male pollen on it. And until eventually that bud at the very bottom is terminal and it dies. And then that causes this entire pseudostem with the true stem to die for this particular sucker. It will then be replaced by a follower, which would be this one here. This is the follower. Okay. Now, in terms of an anatomy, call it anatomy for the plant, this is the petiole. So the distance or the appendage between the leaf and the stem is called the petiole. Then you've got the pseudostem, you've got the true stem inside it. And then you've got a cigar leaf up there. They call that the cigar leaf. So if you can see right at the top of that plant, it's got one leaf that is currently rolled up. Those leaves can take anywhere from 7 to 20 days to fully unfold. So it all depends on which climate you're in, which conditions the banana plant has got, in order to facilitate the speedy growth of that cigar rolled leaf. So the very tip of the appendage, you'll see that at the tip of that rolled up leaf, it's got like a little wiry bit that comes off the top. Now that wiry bit is called the precursory appendage. That will fall off once the leaf opens up. It will just, the plant will abort it. It will wither away and it will just die off. Okay, so we've got the mother, which is the fruiting part of the currently fruiting pseudostem. Then we've got the follower, which is the one right here. And then we've got a maiden sucker. Okay, and then I've already removed some of the other suckers, so we'll see if any more will actually rise out from this. I'm sure that they will. In due course, we are actually in need of mulching. Your bananas really need to be mulched quite heavily, and this will actually facilitate really good growth of new suckers. Remember this now with respect to looking after them. Don't let them become more than 3. So after this one goes, one more can rise out of the ground because there are already 2, but no more than that. Or the plant will be focusing, your fruit production, your fruit quality won't be as good. Okay, so is there anything else about the leaf? Okay, so the leaf, if you look at the leaf, it's got the petiole, and the petiole runs underneath the leaf. Okay, so where it reaches the leaf, it becomes something called the midrib. So it basically supports the length of the leaf. And on either side of the leaf, you have a lamina blade. So that is called the leaf lamina. So you have a leaf lamina on the right, and you've got a leaf lamina on the left, and the midrib going down the middle. And then that's the petiole. You've got the cigar rolled leaf, okay, with the precursory appendage at the top. And then you've got the pseudostem, you've got the true stem on the inside, which runs down onto everything which is called a genet or stool, right? And all of these plants come from that one genet. And the genet is essentially a rhizome, which sits in just below the surface of the soil. So when you separate a plant, you want to check that it is a sword sucker and not a water sucker. Sword suckers produce better fruit, and the plant is actually stronger. It's got a better, stronger rhizome attached to it, so the plant will give you a better quality fruit. So always go for the sword sucker, not the water sucker. It's not really going to make it will make a difference, but if you have no choice, then go with the water sucker. The water sucker will grow up and it will produce a sword sucker too, and then you'll just use sword suckers, which will ultimately lower the quality of your fruit anyways. But you know, if you're not spoiled for choice, then hey, you know, you just got to go with what you got to go with. Right, and that is banana morphology. Guys, I hope you liked this episode. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and stay tuned for the next episode, which we will deal with the growth, the care, the culture, and eating these guys. So yeah, catch you back here next time. Bye for now.